Today is all about the brand new Mudman, and despite its obvious flaws, it does have a bit of an identity crisis. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today is all about G-Shock. Yeah, and in particular a reference called the Mudman. Arguably, well, actually, there's no argument. It is the toughest G-Shock you can buy. So we got to go back to 1985, the GW-9500C, and that was the first mud-resist G-Shock. I love this one because not only does it have that square-shaped design, but it was on the wrist of Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man, and I flippin' love that film. Anyway, the reason why it was mud-resistant was because the buttons were shrouded with external buttons, meaning it was impossible for any dust, mud, sand, grit to get inside the watch and into the movement. Anyway, it wasn't until 1995 did we have the first reference, the GW-9400, to have Mudman on the case. This reference had a few transformations, and in 2006 the G-9000 was born. This is a watch that I own. I was first attracted to it because of the size. It's not too big on my 6.5-inch wrist, but I absolutely love not only the case-shaped design, but I love the different buttons on either side of the case. This reference was actually made for rally drivers, really muddy ones. And it has an awesome feature with the stopwatch. You can give yourself a 5-second countdown before the stopwatch starts. And for a stopwatch connoisseur like myself, that is cool. The backlight is also amazing because it not only lights up the screen, it lights up the whole face, so you can see the text as well. I don't know any other G-Shock that does that. But in 2011, the GW-9300 was born, which had your radio control and your twin sensors, a compass and a thermometer. Well, it's been 12 years since the Mudman has had some sort of upgrade. I know what you're thinking. Well, all they really need to do is put a MIP display in it, isn't it? Bob's your uncle. No, G-Shock don't really think like that. This watch has had a complete makeover again, and to me, looks more like another reference of G-Shocks than a Mudman. Look out for a little rant at the end of the show. Anyway, a huge thank you to Francis and Gaye jewelers. They sent me the GW-9500. I wanted the green version with the negative display because I want to compare it to my G9000 that has a negative display and a green case as well. Now, these watches haven't been out for very long. The initial retail price was £349. Francis and Gaye are now selling this for £279. Not selling? Let's find out, shall we? Are you, Mudman, ready? Let's go. So here we are, the GW-9500 in all its glory, in all its bulky glory. Yes, this is no longer a shrieking violet. Not that any G-Shock really is, but this definitely is going to have presence on your wrist. It looks more like a Rangeman than it does a Mudman straight away, but let's talk about that later. This is a brand new release from G-Shock, and they still haven't worked out how to do a negative display. The only way you can read this watch is if it's at an angle, and when it's at its most illegible is at the angle you would normally read a watch from. Already, this negative display is whack. I don't know why Master of G's or watches with triple sensors have to be so bulky. Is it more to do with how the watch impacts with the floor and absorbs the blow than needing it that size to pick up signals? This watch comes in 2 other references. There are 2 negative display ones and 1 positive display.
That means there's only one of these watches you can properly read the time with.
This thing now has a proper military-esque vibe to it, and I must say, holding it feels very light, and that is a big thank you to the carbon core system that G-Shock uses on all their modern watches. Using that carbon core structure means that not only can the watch be light, but it can also be thinner. And for someone with a small wrist,
music to my ears!
I've got to talk about the band because I am quite impressed with this. The twin tang buckle is definitely OTT, particularly when it's made of stainless steel, but I love the way the band goes into the case, and we've got this over shroud and transitions into that case back. This is going to up the levels of comfortableness 100%. Comparing this watch to the G9000, well, it is much bigger, isn't it? This watch is 56mm from top to bottom and 52 left to right. Now, whereas the G9000 is 16mm in thickness, this bad boy is 14. And when you don't count the bulky bits, 12mm. That is really good. Now, the one gripe I have with Mudmen is the pushing of the buttons. Where they are shrouded over, it does mean they are quite stiff to push in. Probably the stiffest in any of the G-Shock lineup. But with the new GW-9500, well, they feel better than a normal G-Shock.
Bravo on that.
Anyway, let me show you how it compares to a Rangeman. I think it is quite important because this looks more like a Rangeman upgrade than a Mudman. As you can see, that triple sensor on the left, very familiar. And the overall look, it just looks Rangeman-y, doesn't it? It's well over 10 grams heavier than this new Mudman, and you can definitely feel it in your hands, so you're definitely going to feel it on wrist. Definitely thinner as well. We do not have Bluetooth connectivity here, which I know for me, and I know for a lot of you, is great. I hate watches being connected to the phone. So it's almost as if G-Shock have upgraded with a downgrade. You know, there's no memory in pixel display, there's no Bluetooth connectivity. This is more old school, which I do appreciate. I just wish I could see the time. Here we have the case back with the iconic mole on it, exclusive to Mudmen. This is a different mole motif to my G9000. This guy's holding a compass, which tells you probably this is one of its main features. And for me, a proper gimmick. This is the first G-Shock to have a dual LCD display. They already do this on a Pro Trek. I don't know if there is a negative display Pro Trek. Take a look at what a dual LCD screen looks like. As you can see, we've got these crosshairs that look like they're floating on top of the screen below. To be perfectly honest, I think it's a bit pointless. With these negative displays, that crosshair is the same color. In the positive display 9500, that crosshair is a bluish color, different to the screen below.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Inside, we've got a module 3353. The features we have are a stopwatch, a countdown timer. We've got 5 alarms and a snooze. We've got world time to 48 cities. We've also got radio control. But every night, this watch will pick up the signal, giving it the exact time. This is a Master of G, therefore we have those triple sensors. We've got the barometer, we've got an altimeter, and we've got a thermometer. We've also got that compass gimmick. You've got to be a true outdoorsman to be using these features though, haven't you? But it's nice to know they're there, isn't it? Anyway, with this module, this has a power saving mode. The backlight we can have for 1 second or 3 seconds. As I said, no Bluetooth connectivity, no step counter nonsense. Love it.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, this is pretty good. Yes, it is 56mm from top to bottom, but G-Shocks, you know, they are meant to be big. That's the way we're programmed to think anyway. I still can't get over how poor that screen is, that negative display. Legibility when you're outdoors is priority, isn't it? Or is that just me or what? I love the tactical look of this watch, but to me, it doesn't look like a Mudman. It looks like an upgraded Rangeman. However, I really do love how comfortable this G-Shock is, and it is probably the most comfortable big G-Shock I've ever worn. So yeah, £349. You can now buy them for $279 on Francis & Gaye's website. Are they not selling? Now, I said this looks more like an upgraded Rangeman. There is a new Rangeman about to come out with a MIP display. However, you're going to have to charge him. Do you know why? Because they put a bloody heart sensor on the bottom of it. Yes, you're going to be able to track your oxygen levels, your heart rate, and all that fitness rubbish. Obviously, it's going to connect to your phone. What it also has, and I think it's the first, is solar-powered GPS, which is quite good if you're stuck on a mountain and you don't know where you are. Guess what the buttons are? Mud resistant. Sort of takes the Mudman special powers away, doesn't it? So it's no surprise that G-Shock had to come up with another gimmick to the Mudman to sell a Mudman. And it is this dual LCD compass thing. These buttons have come a long way from the G9000, and that has to be commended, doesn't it? But if you haven't got a Mudman in your G-Shock collection and you're interested in buying one, I still would go for the G9000. These days, all brand new G-Shocks seem to look like a knockoff Millennium Falcon. Round, big circular pucks with bulky, sticky out bits. G-Shock! There is a reason why the square, that came out in '83, still is popular. Sleek lines.
No futuristic barnacles.
There is a reason why the Casio has been a sensational hit.
No futuristic barnacles.
People aren't buying the GW-6900 just because it's retro. It's because it still looks better than any of the new G-Shocks that are out now.
No futuristic barnacles.
You can still buy this G9000 for under, I think it's about £70. Yes, it doesn't have your triple sensors. It doesn't have a floaty compass. But I would say that this G-Shock here is the toughest, strongest little bit of kit you can wear on your wrist that tells the time. But in 2024, is it time to do away with negative displays? Here it is, my wife's thoughts of the GW-9500, the new Mudman. I quite like the colour of the case. What time is it? That's ridiculous you can't read it properly. It's not attractive to me as it looks like a gone wrong Frankenstein monster. She's talking about those futuristic barnacles. Well said, the wife. Thank you to Francis and Gaye Jewellers for sending this in, and thank you for watching till the end. If you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector channel, click here. If you want merch, and everyone does, click down here in the description below. But more important than that, if I've got you for a few more minutes, check this beast out. This is cool.